A quick disclaimer, obviously. Let's do that over top of that one. There we go. Obviously, we're not a registered investment advisor or broker dealer. This is for informational purposes only. So let's get out of that. And I want to come over to Options Robot. So Options Robot is what we're going to be talking about today, trying to walk through some ideas of tips and tricks. This is a independent product. This is created by myself and my partners. So when we get into development of this, this was created with the active trader in mind, but it turned into really being able to make it available for all types of traders. So you're going to see a couple things in here, part of these tips and tricks that I think will show you some different ways of looking at things. So I think that's something that, as we are kind of just thinking about trading and well, the one thing I want to kind of touch on before I get into anything else with Options Robot is the speed of the trade. And something that I've worked on independently of Options Robot is actually a plugin for people to be able to connect. And that plugin is we'll call the Options Robot extension, which is available on Chrome. So the idea here is if you go over, and then again, you guys have already been on my Twitter feed, that's how you got here. So I'm just going to go over to my Twitter feed and pull that up for you guys and show you the power of this extension. So and I'll just kind of go through. Actually, I'll go to my notifications because I know we got a couple different people here. Is basically one of the reasons we started to look at things this way. But let me just come over. I'm going to reshare a different page here, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Share. And that's not what I wanted. Let's see here. Share. That did not work. So let me do advanced, do this, try this again. All right, so that worked a little bit better. So this is just my Twitter feed and the notifications I get in there. We got a couple guys in here that are Ben is one of our great traders in terms of been on with our service and stuff for a while. This is something I want to just kind of quickly show you. If you highlight, and you can do this on any number of services, if you quickly highlight this, go down to your Options Robot extension, you can go to the chains, you can go to the charts, you can go to simulate or go to trade. And if you have your Options Robot up and running and do a highlight in here, highlight and go to this trade symbol. And what that's going to do is pull up right for you in Options Robot, the symbol that he was talking about. So that, a little bit of a delay here, again, bogging down my computer. But what's going to happen here is you'll be able to quickly look at this and trade this in terms of there may be an error in that feed. Or maybe he's got an extra couple of symbols in there we'll have to work through, but he's got dollar signs and stuff like that. Or is this old? Maybe, no, this is new. This is today's action. So let me see if we can find another one for you down here. Maybe AMD, go work a little bit better. So AMD, let's see if we can find that one right away. So AMD, and so AMD, and that option should pull up for us in terms of the movement in here. So again, the idea is that you're going to be able to quickly, any one of those, pull this up and you can quickly get to your at the money options. You can get to your positions. You can get to the charts. You can get to a simulate by quickly right clicking on that. So a lot of you know what I'm talking about. I mentioned this in some earlier webinars today and other companies and other services that what we've done there is be able to highlight, and let me just expand this so you guys can get the whole page. So bear with me one second, a little bit of a lag on this thing. So, and I think part of that is because I'm broadcasting in one thing, not on Zoom. That's part of the problem there. So, all right, let me just do this over here, pull up Options Robot over here, do a little more of a walkthrough of what I want to show you and some of those tips and tricks. So, I want to come back to the time it takes to be able to trade. And to me, being able to right click and go right into your symbol, we do have in this service, we do have the trading view charts. So you can get pretty much everything in here in terms of all the indicators, all the different things you like to look at, all the different tools that you can use, the comparisons of all the stocks. You can do all your different types of charting. Your Heikin Ashi, all these different types of things that you can get into, all pretty awesome. For our upper level, we also have all of our levels that are built into here. So if I wanted to look for something like a level on AMD, I could come in here and you would see all of our different levels that are associated with trading as we've come into here and finding opportunities, and we'll look at our levels. This will come to you back. This will play in a minute here to be able to see and use all of those levels. But that's charting. We can come over here to our simulate, and again, most of you guys have used some type of simulation in the past. And a couple different things in here about I was looking obviously at a an AMD trade. Um, there now you can see it. So now this is your simulate page in terms of the action here. So you can quickly slide and move that. Here's your Greek risk down here. Now, if I want to do other strategies, you can quickly simulate it, whether it's a long call vertical. I can change my criteria for that. I can do iron condors. So guys are quickly looking at iron condors, iron butterflies. So you can get into your iron condor. It'll quickly push it in here. The nice thing about this action in here is that yellow box. And for those of you guys that are active traders and have looked at any of the services that I've for other companies, the straddle is pretty critical. So if you get into something like I say, an ASML, and I want to look at a next week expiration, ASML, let me click on that. If I get into, let's say, a week out, you look how big that straddle is. And the idea is I want to know where that straddle is. So this is just a quick little thing, another little trick to be able to see that straddle without having to go in and calculate it. And I want to make sure I'm selling on the outside of outside of that straddle. So that gives me the range where the market makers think we are where the implied volatility should be based off the implied volatility it's trading, and we always want to sell beyond that. So you can set up your iron condor according to that very quickly, as long as you're bringing in enough money and you think the risk is warranted for something like that. So that is just our simulate page. Now, for those of you that are active traders and you have, let's say, positions or want to look for new positions, so we can go over to our option chain. You can quickly look at and one of the biggest time savers, not so much just getting into a trade, but again, you can do this. Well, I'll cover this now, but you can get into this custom default quick or slow. So a custom is basically your limit order. So if I just want to put a limit price in, that's fine. If you want to get into a price slicing, now the price slicing, and again, we can get into that with some of the trade management, but the price slicing I set as default. So let me go over here to show you that. So you go to trade settings and down to our price slicing where you set up your smart order configuration. Here's your default. So if I'm looking to buy something and I want to work the bid-ask spread, I can come in here and say set my default for default quick and slow. If I really want to be fast, I can do it like 5 price slices or maybe even only 3 price slices. And I'm only waiting 3 seconds each. So I can get in,
Oh,
test it, and then go to market. If I want a little bit longer, maybe I do 7. That's going to be roughly 21 seconds, multiply it out and say I'm going to do 7 stints every 3 seconds, or I want to make it a little bit longer. I can do every 5 seconds. So you can set your quick, slow, and default to however active or aggressive you want to be. And this is really going to play out in the next kind of iteration here as we are talking about this. And so when we get into trading and looking at those option chains, again, you can quickly select that default, whether you default price slice, or I can get into the quick or the slow, right? So again, if I just quick, it's going to make take the bid ask spread depending however I set it up, and it's then going to move through that bid ask spread. Now, for something like this, it doesn't really make any difference because my bid ask is so tight, right? It doesn't really matter. But if I'm getting in some of these wider stocks where working that bid ask spread is very important, then I think that's something that we've really come to enjoy, is getting better prices without having to actually sit there and do it yourself, right? So that's very, very important. So when we look at, that's just getting into a trade. So let's say I'm actually sitting here in paper money, so I don't really care. Let's just get into a trade, and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do it for markets just to show you. Now, this is where I think the bread and butter is of the service. And once you get into a trade or get into a theoretical trade, which we do have entry bots for. So I just bought a one lot here in AMD. And this is what we call our templates. Templates is really where I think a lot of traders are going to find that it's going to save them a lot of time. Now, we have some defaults in here, right? Just ideas to get people's brain turning of what you can do, right? And the template you can create, we'll walk through that in a second, but the idea here is if I am in a trade, I can be as aggressive or non-aggressive in terms of I want to be. If I want to think this is a longer term position, or if I'm in for day trade, I may just want to do one roll and an exit if I think it's going to run. Now, all I have to do is click apply. All of my orders are there and built out. You can see what this is going to do. I put it in for $2. If it goes up by $2, I'm going to roll my option. Then I have what I call a nested trade. The nested trade means that if it goes up by another $2, I'm going to exit. So by me just clicking one click, I've now been able to build out a templated trading plan, and I can go and edit and change these at any time. The other thing I want to mention here is um, the other thing I want to mention is the pause button. So if you do get into automations, and once you start to get in here and realize, okay, I got more trades on because I'm doing automations, we wanted to have something that you can protect your trades if there's new news hits, one stock or all of them. So I can turn around in here and click pause all bots. So that's all of my position, all my bots, or I can go in here and pause my initial trade and just click pause. So it won't trigger. And if the stock's starting to run, I don't want to be in the way of it. It's going to basically allow me to avoid that. And I can go back and edit that and mess around, do what I want to do with it in terms of the management. Okay, so now I can set up my own templates, make my own customs. For those of you guys that like ATR, right, maybe you're going to set up a couple that I roll every couple of dollars. Maybe, again, when you set up a template, it has to be used across multiple stocks. So you can't use specific levels. Now, you can go back and adjust this. If I want to go in here and say, I want to adjust this to say, I want to use a level, I can use the stock value. I can use the option value. If you have spreads, it'll use the spread value. But if I go into a stock value, I can use greater than, less than. I can move up by from the current price. I can move up from the acquisition price. So where you're currently at to maybe plus 50 cents, or where you got into the trade plus, say, 50 cents or 75 or a dollar, right? So you have to define that specifically. If you want to do an option value, say I want to do the conditions greater than dollar or well, that's delta, sorry, value is, I can do it by dollar or percent. So again, very simple things. You can increase your position, you can roll your position, you can exit your position, all different things that are important to trading, right? In terms of things that we look at. And again, all of your smart pricing down here, default, quick or slow, your midpoint, which again, I do a lot of midpoint trading where I just let it sit out there, especially if I'm rolling. Just put me out at midpoint and I'll probably eventually get filled as it continues to move in my favor. So put it out there and let it sit. And that's, again, pretty important that as we're looking at this, we've created another little tool, not as sexy as some of the other ones, but I think it's important for those of you that trade these extra wide spreads. This is something that if you're trying to get out at mid-market and mid-market goes above a certain price, you have to be aware that they could get even wider, right? So we have a guard against that. So if it goes above normal range, we would automatically put you at the offer or the last trade for that thing. So just trying to take the steps to really safeguard you and help you out along your journey here in trading. So there's a couple different things. Again, I can go in and add this, change this, modify this. The one thing I didn't show you is if I say greater than, and I mentioned those levels. So if I have a stock that I have levels in, we have about 600 stocks that we do have levels in. I can then select the next highest level on this in terms of AMD. I could say I want it to be back above that 167.19. Now, maybe that doesn't work for you. So you could just say, I don't like that. I'm going to use 166. So if it gets above 166, I'm then going to consider my roll. And that all plays out down in here. And you can see all of that action down in there. Now, a couple other things with those templates. You can create those templates down here, I believe, where you can create your own custom templates. You can add, delete, modify anything you want to do in there and trade those how you want. It is relevant to your direction. So if I'm in a call, it's going to give you exits for calls to work your way out. If I'm in puts, it gets me out of the put spread. It does recognize smart orders in terms of direction, delta, and how you're looking at that. But you always do want to kind of cross check that in terms of this screen is really to set up for your defaults. If you trade more than one lot, you can do that. What's your default order? Please keep in mind that if there is you do something before the market, this will not be available. You'll have to do a midpoint or a custom order where you put a limit price in because this will not work in a pre-market type of setup. The entry bot, pretty straightforward, I think, in terms of looking at that same type of scenario. If I wanted to get into something like right now, defaulted to RGTI, I guess my last look, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm getting in above a certain price if I think it's going to be a breakout. That current price right now is 15.40, let's say above 16. I can add an option. I can select what I want to do. I can go out to next week and I want to just play the at the monies. And then I can say, how do I want to get in? Midpoint, custom, default. Again, I tend to play the default a little bit more. Here's my price slices. And you can see I can still make the modification on how fast I want that to be. So again, this is just getting into a one lot and would allow me to set up that trade on breakout scenarios. So then if I do that and I click create, I don't even have the position yet. This is just set up as an entry bot. But because I set up an entry bot, I maybe want to move on to something else. And I can say, based off of my rolls, I just may want to do one roll and exit on the trade. And I clicked apply. So within 10 seconds, I've set up a virtual entry bot and I've set up trades to get out of that trade in terms of rolling up and rolling up on $2 and getting out of the trade after the next $2. And again, maybe that's not maybe I want to do it by $1, right? So I can quickly come back in and say I want to adjust that down to a buck and or 50 cents. So let's say it's $1 or 50 cents. So it'd be good to put a 0.50. There we go. So and I can click confirm. So, but you can see the speed of how this could really start to play out in terms of helping you guys that are actively trading. And you can also see how the automation could work for guys that are not actively trading and would like to be doing more, where you don't have to sit and watch your trades. Now, the other side of this, let's say I just want to cancel this out. I don't like this trade. I'm canceling everything. Yes. And I want to do a different type of a bot. Well, I can do ones with stops built in. So I can make this much more complicated. I can roll my options and you can see I've already got a for 20 cents or 20% if the option goes up. I'm sorry, this is the stock. And if the option gain since inception is 20, so I have a couple different variables in here, and I have other ones in here. So I have the run up or the pullback. I have additional ones over here, and you can keep going. So if you want to go out and roll to longer dated options, you can do that, right? If you want to roll out give different scenarios. You can create up whatever scenarios you want in here to be able to do it. And this is something you can't do on your broker. You can't set up a layered or a nested trade. So this relies on this occurring. You can do it, I think, once on some where you're doing a roll, but after that, they don't take anything in terms of the action there. So that is very, very important to understand that you can't do this anywhere else and set these up that are just going to give you this much flexibility in terms of being able to help you. Now, the other thing I do want to set up and show you real quick, and I'll take let's see, a stock from somebody in here that we'll just take one live. Um, it does, Bruce. It does link. So what we link to right now, we're working on expanding that, but we do work with Schwab, so it does connect to Schwab. It does not connect to TradeStation. That's one we are working on. So we are working on TradeStation, Tasty Trade, and E-Trade. E-Trade's been a little pain in the butt. But we do have Alpaca, we do have Tradier, and we do have Schwab. So some of you guys may be Schwab traders. That may be one of your best ones or biggest ones there in terms of the action. So that is obviously important, right? I'm not trying to get you guys to move to a different broker. I want you to stay with what you're working. All these trades flow right to the broker, and you can see them, you can trade them, you can change them inside of there, right? In terms of that, you obviously you can do all that management in here as well. So you get all that flow. So everything has to be approved through your broker. We do a cross check on everything in here, make sure you have enough money in the account to do the trade, that you are enabled to be able to do that trade. So all that still gets permission through the broker and has to be permissioned through that. So you have to log in to your broker and it'll basically say, hey, if you want to connect, you come up here. And let's say I'm not connected in here, it will just give you a link. So you can click on that to authorize to connect to your broker, right? So pretty straightforward in terms of the movement in there. So we're constantly improving this thing. A couple of the things that we have done, some of you guys may have seen a couple of these, is trade ideas that I've shared. And the idea there is, let me get out of this and get back to my paper so we don't have that big message there for me to connect. But the idea is that what we've been able to do is share some of these trades. So if I want to share an idea, and this is really only available, we're really starting to work on this and get other traders in here to look at how they want to do it, or how what they would want to share. And we have other services that we are working with. But the idea is that you can come in and mirror a trade. So if I wanted to share an idea, you could come in and see the exact trade that I was looking at. So I was looking at Amazon earlier in the week. We're up $35 on this, no big deal. It's just an example. But what I've done is I've shared it, and 34 people have come over and looked at it. So they've looked at this, and what you can do is if you really like the trade, you can copy it right into your broker. So that's something we are working on a little more in depth with for some of you that are in here from other companies. That's something we are trying to do that makes it very, very easy. If you do like something that you've seen, that you can just copy this in, it'll automatically take all the levels, all the management, all that, and basically it's a one click. Just like I set up earlier, it would be even easier. You don't have to do the entry bots. You don't have to do any of the management either, right? So again, you can go add your own management at any point as well. So that's something we're working on. The one last thing I want to mention to you guys, and some of you guys may like this or not like this, but I think it's important for trades that are, if you're worried about trades that are gapping, right? So if I come in here to our option chains, and I got a little bit of a delay here. What's going on? Simulate. Nope, it's not. Let me just do a quick refresh on this. And I got a little bit of a hiccup there. So if I come over, oh, I want to simulate. Sorry. Let me go over to, I want to go over to our chains. Let's do that. Option chains. And let's just say I want to get into, let's pick something that may gap a little bit more. Maybe like a Taiwan semi, right? Taiwan semi tends to gap because it's an ADR. So again, you may have, or maybe it's a news stock or one of your meme stocks that you are playing, right? So, anything like that in terms of that you're a little bit more nervous about. So there is a trade in there. Let's actually don't use that one. Let's do something like, what's a good meme stock right now? What's been busy? I'm just trying to look through list here. ARM tends to get, let's just do something like an ASML, right? The big name that you may want to trade, you may want to have some type of a spread in or something along those lines. And the big gap down today, right? Just on the top of brain, a little bit more expensive. So again, the problem here is when you set up a scenario and you have these stocks that are gapping, this is 725. Let's just close this down. Again, there's some really cool little looking things. So if I'm in my options, I want to see more options, I can just kind of drag this over and you can see it expands what I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at, let's say a 1070 option, well, let's just go in and buy those just to set this up, and we'll put it in as midpoint. and I'll say place an order. Now, this is just a theoretical position until it triggers. And let's say I'm going to set up my own trades here. So I'm going to create a management. First one's going to be stock value, and I'm going to say greater than, let's just say current price 711. So let's just say 715. Okay. I want to roll my option. I can do that quickly. So I'm just going to say roll, and I'm going to stay in the same expiration, 8-1. And I'm just going to I'm going to go up to a specific strike of the 715. So I'm in the at the monies of the 710s. I'm going to roll up $5. Okay. So I'm going to do that midpoint and click create. Okay. Now I have a trade in there, right? So you can see if this clears out, it's pushing it through. Okay, so that's there. I don't even have the trade yet, right? I'm not even in my trade. It's just I'm working the order. It's still working pending right here. So now I may want to say, I want to protect myself if it goes up anymore. Let's say I gap up, it goes up to 720. I can do a quick roll. So something like this, and I say if this goes up to the same expiration and it goes, let's do 720 there. So 720, and I'm going to roll up my option to the 720. So I go to 720, right? That is, again, very important in terms of being able to understand. So roll, I do midpoint, do the same thing. Now, what happens is by me mirroring the exact same style of trade, I've engaged or the potential to engage my gap override. So if I click activate on this, all this is going to do for me is say that if the stock opens above my second level, so tomorrow morning, if it goes up and it goes above my second level, and I'm in the position, right? I may not even get into the position because it's still pending, but if I'm in a position, it goes up to the 720s. The last thing I want to do is roll up to 715. Right? I want to be able to roll up to 720. So by doing that, you'll see the gap override is over here, and I have my nested trade. I can look at it in a preview, the whole group. So I start with this once I get in here, 710. I roll up to 715. I want to roll up to 720. And again, I have the gap override protection there. So if it rolls over 720 in any way, I'm rolling up to that option. Now I can keep creating this and go. I can go to 725. I can go to 730, any level that I want to go through, as long as I keep the same criteria of midpoint and I'm using the same type of rolling strategy, then that will continue to play out. So I think that is very, very important in terms of the movement here, that you don't have that in any other product, right? Because most of you guys aren't using a lot of automation. And for a lot of the active traders that we talk with, that's a big deal, right? This is a very big deal that you can let the system do the work for you. Again, you can set that up. Now, there's other things you can do in here in terms of, again, I don't want to get into everything, and I'm already going a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I do want to, get to the point where we are, questions and can answer some things for you there. But the alerts in here, pretty powerful. We've added the ability to do multiple styles of alerts. So you can set up an alert where the condition is greater than less than. You can do it one time. You can do it always. So as it crosses back and forth, you're going to keep getting alerts. Or you can do a rolling. I thought this was really cool, that you can set up. Let's say I want to know that this thing continues to go up every 1%. I want to be notified. So this could be one where you say, something that you're in a position and you're worried about it, that you get notified as it's approaching your level. So that may be something that could be. And you can set up for certain times of the day. I only want it for custom times of the day where it's between these two periods, right? I may not want it at the open. I may want it only between 10 o'clock and, let's say I'm usually done by 12, so I don't want any more notifications. So I only want to be notified then. So those are all things that we've added into our alert part of this and being able to connect here in terms of those opportunities. So I've showed you most of this. Obviously, there's positions you get into, there's that Amazon we were looking at earlier, what's pending on that. I still have that pause, so I can unpause all my bots there. Oh, that's got a pending execution on, that's from Amazon, trying to get an exit in on the trade there. In terms of that, we did walk through the option change, the entry bot, the trade ideas, the trade settings, obviously charts. There's all different, there's so much you can do in here in terms of being able to look at setting up your own templates, having those templates set up. So like I have an ATR one. right? And I'll just move that over for AMD and it'll pull up my ATR. You can add, this is a very powerful charting package that's in here in terms of that. Obviously, we try to put shortcuts in here for I want to go look at the contracts or I want to look at what my positions are in terms of where you want to be. And then obviously we do have ideas or I'm sorry, lines or support resistance lines. You can come over and search those here. So if I look at something like Qualcomm, just off the top of my head, let's see what we have in there. Qualcomm, all kinds of lines in here for support and resistance, which you can use in your trading or just use to kind of get a gauge where we've seen support and resistance in the past. All right, so let me come back into questions and try to answer anything that's come in here. I do have a little bit of a special thing for you guys. Um, Not available yet, Bruce, on TradeStation yet. Where we will get there in terms of that. Sorry about that. Um, um, all I can do is, yeah. And Bruce, any ideas? You know how to reach me. So, definitely happy to see you guys in terms of there. There is no minimum deposit required. There are training videos. We just updated our site, so the training videos are coming back online here probably over the weekend. So we'll have them up there. So the website was updated to a more modern website. We did have it on the old one, but we're going to add new ones in there. So if you guys are interested in using this, there is no deposits, Marianne. It is a service that we charge monthly for. I want you to think about how much time you could potentially save, and there goes an ASML. We just got into that trade, so you get notified. I just got it on my SMS. So again, this is one you'll get the SMS, email, however you want to get that trade be updated on that. So we go back into there. Now I should have a position for ASML. And there it is right there. And you can see I have my plan already set up in terms of ASML. And this is the next part of this in terms of looking. If it gets over 715, you're gonna be ready to go with a roll on that. So no deposit required, but if you are interested in using it, I am doing a special for anybody in this webinar right now. And if you come over and want to sign up and try it out, there's a 2-week free trial. If you are interested in the sign up, I would sign up with a coupon code that I'm going to give you, which is, I think we called it Friday 50. Let me just double check on that. So it's FR, I'm going to type it in here to the chat. FRIDA and 50 is the coupon, right? So I'll just use that as a coupon. And that's only good on the pro level service. And why I'm doing that is if you want to come in paper trade, I don't think this is really for a lot of you guys. This is for more of the active trader that I've invited here today. So you can use it on there, right? In terms of the activity, I'll make it available for that. But bang for bucks beyond the pro. Pro level gives you access to be able to connect it to your broker. So if you do have one of the brokers, it may not be worth it for you guys to look at in terms of if you don't have a Schwab, a Alpaca, or a Tradier account, right? Then it's really not worth it. But if you do have it, this is right up your wheelhouse in terms of being able to connect. Then I would suggest you go with the Pro so you can connect to that broker. You can use all the tools. We do have an upper level, which I'm not really suggesting at this moment. We put the discount on here for the Pro because I want to get you guys in, get you a good price. So that's 50% off the monthly and the annual. So if you're really looking for bang for buck, again, this coupon is only available through the end of the weekend, but it is good for 50% off the monthly and the annual if you think this is something you're going to want to use and try to keep using in terms of that. Can it be used across multiple accounts into us? Yes, it can. And I do. I use that now. So when you go to connect, it'll ask you what accounts you want to connect, and you can connect them all. And it would just flip through here, right? So you would flip through in this. So I have multiple accounts already in here that I would flip through for my Thinkorswim. And again, I'm actually going to connect another account on that to do it. But yeah, so as long as and I think you can connect multiple accounts even if they have separate logins. So I have one, like my wife's account has her own login versus the one I have access to, my account and a couple other accounts I have under there managing for my kids. So I use it for all of those. So yeah, it can definitely be used. No additional fee for as many accounts as you want to access. So use it and pay once, you get access to it. Now, The other caveat I will say for this, what we do, because we're trying to keep our prices down, there is a fee for the people that are really active. We do charge a $1 fee for the automation. So I think when you start to get into this, you start to realize how much time it saves you. If you put a an hourly wage on your time, then I think you'll realize that it's going to be a big value to you to be able to do that. So what we charge is per automation. So let's say, for example, I have an automation here in ASML, and I go through both of those. That would be $2. So it'd be each a dollar for each automation. I don't care about the size of the contract, right? If I do 20 lot, 30 lot, 50 lot, that's doesn't matter. Again, it's about the amount of times we have to sit there and manage the trade and manage that order. Now, the caveat here is if you do larger size, you may not fill on all of that. So then we have a whole complex system that tries to get you that fill and it'll manage it. So let's, for example, say I'm working 50 lot, and it gets filled in three different settings. It would be three different um, uh, costs for you. Right. So let's say I do it at 1 o'clock and I don't get filled. It comes back at 3 o'clock, gets filled. Then I got to get like 3:30, I finally get the full balance filled. So it'd be $3. But again, what we're doing is managing that trade for you all the way through. So I think you guys understand what we're trying to do here. And all that's really doing is just taking the server cost off of. So we get a lot of guys in. We have several traders in that have been very prolific. And that's the reason we kind of installed this, just to kind of help offset some of our costs associated with it. Um, uh, Yes, this is an overlay over your Thinkorswim, or it's actually over your Schwab account. So it goes through to your Thinkorswim, right? All the trades will pop into you. If you have Thinkorswim, it'll go through. If you're just in Schwab, it'll go into Schwab, right? So yes, but it can be used. I think Marianne may have been like confused that it was its own independent kind of broker dealer. We are not a BD. We are not an investment advisor anyway. We're not giving you trades. We're not telling you how to trade it. We're just giving you the tools to make it a lot easier for you to trade and give you the ability to, I would say, get your time back, right? That's the thing I love about this. So again, for most of you, you guys know that I'm pretty busy during the day, so a lot of my trades are set up using this, and that's why I'm in a paper trading account. So just showing you this. So a lot of my ideas that I put out, and I'm tracking or looking. I use my own alert service. That's why a lot of you guys don't see stuff that pops up, so it comes up on another computer. And I do a lot of my trading via this because of the amount of time I have to spend in doing other things, right? So I know a lot of you, that's a frustration. That's one of the reasons we created this, is that we would be able to. I hope this is something you guys enjoy. Do any of you guys have any questions in terms of any of the features we went through, or again, some of the logic that we've tried to create? I think it's pretty straightforward. But I do feel there's a significant power here to building in automation. Our team's working on AI to help with some of maybe scenarios where things are rolling over, stuff like that. Um, yep, I can, David. That will be coming over shortly. I will send that out to you guys in terms of a link to be able to get to that and link it up. And again, management's pretty straightforward. You can come into your, obviously, account settings is in here, right? That's going to give you a couple additional what you've been trading, where you're making money, how you're, all that fun stuff. You get into your setups. Here's what it's going to look like on the inside, right? In terms of subscription, what you want to do with your account, your user management, notifications, how you want to be notified, all that fun stuff in terms of your trading. Is the one thing we are not trying to do is be a thinkorswim replacement, right? I'm not trying to get in and say, here's your market watch. I'm not trying to be the analyst hub. We have a lot of partners that we are working with that do have analysis, and what they're doing is allowing traders to find ideas through their analysis and then right click into our product. So that has become pretty big. And again, it's about the speed to get into your trade idea, and then once you get your setup, again, I'm going to walk through one more trade idea for you. So if I go into, let's say, an entry bot and say, I'm not looking for anything that's moving at the moment, but let's just say NVIDIA. I like NVIDIA on the day, or I like NVIDIA for next week in terms of the follow through. And I want to trade, a bull side or a bear side. Let's do bull side because it's been moving up. And I want to say, if it gets over 175, I think it's going to go higher. So I'll add an option I'll do next week's, and I say I'll buy the at the monies on that. I want to do it for midpoint on that one. So I'll hit create. And again, I can't express enough the speed at which you can put trade ideas on. So if I go, I like my two rolls up by $3. I'm going to do two rolls and my trade idea is already in place. Now I can go back to looking for other opportunities. So again, that coupon is if you go to our website, which is optionsrobot.com, you can click and hit the free trial on there and sign up. You can go right to the coupon code if you want to buy right away. If you want to test it out over the weekend, test it out, and then want to put a coupon code in, you can do that as well. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little kind of tips and tricks. We're going to be doing more of these and dropping them on Twitter. So I would encourage you guys to follow me on Twitter if you want to. I don't put out a lot of stuff, but I do put out our like kind of relevant ideas, and every once in a while I'll put out a couple of videos here for tips and tricks. Maybe even do another webinar for you guys. So thank you again for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, please feel to hit me up on an email. My email is ryan@optionsrobot.com. So if you have any questions regarding the service, please hit me up there. And if not, I'll see you guys on the other side. All right. Take care. We'll talk to you guys soon.